Hello and welcome to the Harvest Show. Hope you're in a great mood. If you're not to worry, we got some answers for you because today we have Janet Pfeiffer, author of the book, The Secret Side of Anger. It's kind of a funny book, but, you know, some practical ways to deal with, I think you need to stick around for this.
Oh, what are you trying to say?
I'm just teasing you. So, you guys have a good evening?
I did have a good evening, but speaking of Janet Pfeiffer, I was reading about the Florida father who stormed a bus because his 13-year-old daughter had been bullied. Yeah. And so I was kind of putting myself in his shoes and wondering if would I have done the same thing?
Well, what happened? For those folks who may not be familiar.
Well, last week his daughter, his 13-year-old daughter, has cerebral palsy. Okay. And he says that someone opened a condom and threw it in her hair.
Oh my goodness.
And the next day he stormed the bus and threatened the kids.
And it was all on video.
It was all on video. Yeah, in Florida, you know, our viewers know that I'm from Florida, Orlando. In Florida, all of the buses have videos.
Sure.
All of the buses are recorded. Everything that's going on the bus is recorded. And so the father, he stormed the bus and threatened the kids. And he said yesterday that he was certainly sorry. He apologized for storming the bus because he said he then became the bully.
The problem for this father is he's going on the bus, and yeah, they can go back and probably look at the video closely and find out who threw this condom. But the fact of the matter is he probably didn't know which child did this on the bus, and so now it really puts you in a situation. And yeah, you say, okay, well, go talk with the bus driver. Bus driver's trying to drive the bus. I mean, I feel bad for any bus driver trying to control a bus full of kids and keep your eyes on the road.
All right, so I want to stay on this topic. We have anger management and conflict resolution specialist Janet Pfeiffer.
Remember Steven Slater? He's the JetBlue flight attendant who quit his job in epic fashion after a passenger refused to apologize for allegedly hitting him in the head while retrieving a carry-on bag. The story of Slater's meltdown went viral, but our next guest says anger is a choice, and there are ways to control this sometimes deadly emotion. Let's welcome to the show anger management specialist Janet Pfeiffer, author of The Secret Side of Anger. Oh, there's a secret side to anger.
Yes, there is.
I mean,
it's a side that nobody knows about.
No, I know we laugh about the Steven Slater incident. And, you know, he became an internet sensation. But anger can be dangerous and deadly.
Oh, yeah.
And you have a story, too, to tell us. So why don't you share with us, first of all, your background and how you came to be an anger management specialist after suffering domestic violence, right?
Yes. Actually, I'm a survivor of domestic violence. But even prior to that, I had issues of anger myself. I grew up in an environment where anger was not an acceptable emotion. So I stuffed it in and suppressed it my whole life. And then it came out in various forms that were very inappropriate and very hurtful towards other people. So I went back to suppressing it again. And then many years after my marriage ended, I actually got involved with somebody who was an abuser. We were together for 3 years. And fortunately, I came to my senses and realized that he was not able to make the changes that he needed to make. So I left that relationship, but that really propelled me to learn about anger. And so I began studying it and researching it and looking at my own life and how I had mismanaged my emotions my whole life and what a mess I had made. So once I began to learn about what anger really was, it totally transformed my life. And now I do it professionally. I teach other people how to do it as well.
So you said that you were allowed to express 2 emotions, happy and happy, when you were a little girl. That was it.
Happy and happy. Everything was always fine. Nothing was ever wrong. You know, there were no negative emotions that were permitted acceptable in that period of time. So I always had to walk around with that smile on my face, but I was in denial about what I was really feeling.
But according to the American Psychological Association, anger is a normal emotion when it's expressed.
Sure. All emotions are normal. Look, I mean, God created all of these feelings for a reason, and emotions are messengers. They simply let us know what's going on inside of us based on our external experiences. So anger is normal. It's healthy. I don't ever teach people not to be angry, but it's the way we express that anger and what we choose to do with it that determines whether or not it's going to be a beneficial force in our life or a detrimental one.
So what exactly should we do with it then? If we can't suppress it, where does it go? What do we do?
Okay. Well, first of all, you need to understand where the anger is really coming from. So if I ask people what makes you angry, they'll say things like, well, those drivers that tailgate, or my mother-in-law, or my boss. That's not the source of your anger. Those are the triggers. But what happens is every experience that we have, we generate a thought about that experience. So that guy tailgating, we're thinking, oh, this guy is a jerk. Who does he think he is? He thinks he owns the road. The thought is a negative one, and it's actually the thought that is generating the anger. Because I can change how I feel simply by changing what I think. I can look at this guy and think, oh, maybe he's late for work, or oh, worse than that, what if he's rushing his child to the hospital? Those thoughts generate compassion and understanding. And so then we react to what it is we're feeling. So what I show people is that what's causing your anger is not what you think it is. It's not the external experience, but it's rather the thought that you form about that experience. And we have a choice in that. I can look at an individual and label them a jerk or an idiot, or I can look at that same person and say, gee, that person's unhappy. They must be dealing with a lot in their life. So based on the way I judge other people, that's going to determine how I feel about them.
And going back to kind of what we were talking about in our opening segment, like with the guy on the bus, you know, how's he to think of the kid bullying his daughter with cerebral palsy? Because, you know, there's no way to excuse that behavior.
No, there's absolutely no justification for that at all. So here's the thing. Anger is a normal emotion. It can be a very useful emotion. So once I get the message that there's something wrong going on here, okay, it's just not acceptable for any human being to ever hurt another, okay? So there's no excuse for bullying. So that father is justified in being angry and upset over what his daughter was going through. But the way he expresses that and the way he chooses to deal with it, this is what I'm concerned about. It's about making sure that you channel that anger into something positive and constructive. Now, I'm a trainer for the New Jersey Education Association, so I've spent years in schools dealing with issues of bullying. And it is a very serious issue because there are children who have committed suicide because they've been tormented, brutally tormented in school, and they can't find a way out. So anger is a justifiable emotion, but you have to be careful with how you express it and manage it. So I teach people, I think the biggest mistake that this father made was that he reacted to that emotion rather than giving himself time to calm down and think about the best possible approach.
Well, that takes us to our next point. You have a 3-step strategy, and you call it SWAT.
I call it SWAT.
Tell us what SWAT is and how the father could have applied SWAT to his situation.
Okay, SWAT stands for Stop, Walk, and Talk. So this is a strategy I developed for individuals who tend to be very explosive with their anger. So before you react, first thing you want to do is stop. Just stop yourself in whatever it is you're doing and give yourself time to think about what's going on. So you stop this. You stop whatever it is you're doing. If you're having a conversation with somebody or if you're engaging in a behavior, you stop that. Second step is you physically walk away. You want to give yourself a little time to calm down and cool up.
What if you're on an airplane?
Well, you know what? You excuse yourself and go to that little teeny-weeny bathroom in the back.
So you never deploy the
Never.
slide.
I've never done that. No, I have no intention. But if you can't physically walk away, you can literally walk away in your mind.
Yeah.
All right. But the third step, which is absolutely critical, which is talk, is you need to talk yourself calm. So the things that we say to ourselves, that little internal voice in our mind, is actually going to either cause our anger to escalate or allow us to calm down. So if I say things, if I was that father and I was saying, oh, these kids are horrible, they're monsters, how dare they do this to my daughter, I'm causing myself to become more angry. But if I say, okay, you know what, this is something that occurs, I am sure that we can resolve this, what's the best approach for me to take? My daughter is safe right now. I can keep her home. I can go talk to the bus driver. I can talk to the principal. You formulate a plan of action. What's the best approach for me to take? But you cannot do that when you're emotional because emotional clouds intellectual reason. So I need to get my emotions to calm down. Then I can think things through rationally and make the best possible choices. So it's stop, walk, and talk, and it works all the time.
Okay, let's talk about attitude, blame, and PMS. I mean,
should I just get up and leave?
No, it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. All right. The most important thing that we have in life is our attitude. And what is attitude? Attitude is a combination of what we think and what we feel. that determines my attitude for the day. So I get up on Monday morning and I think, oh, it's Monday, I hate my job, this is going to be a miserable day. Well, that's the attitude that I carry with me throughout the whole day. So everything I do, I'm miserable and grumpy with. But if I wake up and I say, thank God I have a job and I'm not going to unemployment today, well, the thoughts of being grateful for what I have generate feelings of gratitude, and I take that attitude with me. So I can choose my attitude at any given moment throughout the day. So we have to pay attention to that because that's absolutely critical. Blame, we are so into holding other people accountable for what's not working in our lives. So if I'm making a mess of my life, I blame my mother because it was all her fault, or I blame my ex-husband for divorcing me. People have to take accountability because personal responsibility is where your power lies. When I hold myself personally accountable for all of the choices that I make, what I choose to think, how I choose to feel, what I choose to say, what I choose to do, we all have free will. We all have the ability to make our own decisions in any situation that we're in. So when I take full accountability and responsibility, then I have the power. Nobody else has the ability to determine the course of my life. So I always tell people, refrain from blame, because you give away your power when you allow other people to control you.
Now, at one point in the book, you talk about, you know, doing an analysis of the situation, what's happening, and one of the things you point out is that you need to think about is this situation, will I remember this 10 years from now?
10 years from now. That's my gauge.
But what if it is something that you will remember 10 years from now? You know, like a parent leaves or you get a divorce.
Right, sure. And so if, in fact, it is a really important issue, once again, then you have to look at, all right, what are the real important issues here? Is there anything that I can do to change the situation? If so, again, let me create that plan of action. Let me take positive steps to facilitating a positive change. If, in fact, it's a situation that is what it is, and it's never going to be anything other than that, then can I learn to accept it and be at peace with the fact that this is the way things are for now? All right, this is what I had to do in my divorce. I tried everything under the sun, including bribery, to get my husband to come back and you know, keep our family intact. He was not interested. So I reached a point where I had to accept the fact that, okay, I'm going to end up divorced, so I need to find peace with that. And I have so much faith in God that I truly believe that whatever comes into my life comes in for a reason, that God wants me to learn something from that experience, apply it to my own life so I can be a better person, and then take that knowledge and share it with others so that they can benefit as well. So, yes, some things do deserve our attention, but you know, I always look at Carrie Leitner, who lost her daughter to a drunk driver, and what did she do? Rather than become angry and bitter and hateful, she turned that into creating an organization called Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and now she has saved probably millions of lives.
So the definition of anger is to feel helpless and powerless, and you're saying that no matter the situation and no matter how difficult it is, you really are not helpless. That's where the management part comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we think that we're powerless, but someone who has no power is actually a victim. And if you notice, I've never referred to myself as a victim of domestic violence. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. All right, it was my choice to be a part of that relationship. It was my choice to stay in it even after the violence began. So I wasn't a victim. I was an active participant. I wasn't responsible for his behavior, but I chose to be there. So we always have the ability to make choice. Now, very often we find ourselves in situations that are out of our control, but where does my power come from? It comes from my ability to choose how I'm going to handle myself in that situation and how I'm going to allow it to affect me. So I went through a divorce. I went through domestic violence. I choose not to be an angry, bitter person. I choose to continue to love both of these people, even though they're troubled and they have their own issues, but that's where my power comes in.
Well, thank you for empowering us today.
Oh, you're so welcome. It was my pleasure.
I don't have any anger management issues, I don't think. What about you, Drew?
Oh, don't go there.
Well, just quickly, PMS is poor me syndrome. So
okay, poor me syndrome.
I'm not
never
poor.
to feel sorry for yourself. Everything in life is a blessing.
Okay, I get it. And to get a copy of The Secret Side of Anger, go to harvest-tv.com and click on Show Information for a link to the book. Thank you so much. Be sure to get The Secret Side of Anger, the quickest and easiest guide ever to managing anger. Thank you so much, Janet.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much, both
I can't
of you.
imagine you being angry.